Hi, how you doing tonight? Let me start off by telling you, this is my real voice. You're not having a hee-haw flashback. This is the way I really talk. I am from Atlanta, Georgia. I don't live there now. I moved to L.A. a couple of years ago, and I never thought I would leave the South. But I started doing a little TV and getting on the air, and then my kinfolk said, Jeff, move away from there. And I can't believe you laughed at that, honestly. What can I tell you is going on with me? I just found out 2 months ago I'm going to be a father for the first time. I'm really excited about that. Thank you. When my wife finds out, she's going to kick my ass, I swear. Now, she knows, believe me, she is going through some physical changes. Now, she is wearing the bra from a Camaro now. You know? Not just for the support, but it keeps the bugs off her blouse. I've been married about 6 years. I love my wife to death. I like women a lot. And I don't know a whole lot about you girls. I seem to know little things. Things like I know if you give a woman a little basket of seashells, they're going to put them on the back of the toilet. I do know that. I don't know why, but that's where they go. They go on the back of the toilet. You never see a toilet on the beach, but you will see a beach on the toilet. And if they don't have real seashells, they buy the fake soap ones, but you're not supposed to wash your hands with them. This past January, I drove cross country with my wife. I learned something on that trip. A woman's job on a long trip in the car is to sleep and control the heat and air conditioning. Every time I try to sneak the window down, she wakes up and goes, roll that up, I'm cold. It's like, why don't you hold a pan of muffins so we'll have something to eat when we get there? 5 days I hardly saw her. She was buried under all these jackets and blankets. Once a day I'd hear her voice, where are we? We're in hell. That's where we are. We're in hell. Just crossed the river Styx 2 miles ago. Now, the only fun I had on the whole trip was knowing everybody that passed our car on the right-hand side was laughing their ass off at her doing that open-mouth jello neck head bob. They're laughing at you and you don't even know it. And don't get me wrong, you need a woman on a long trip in the car. You need them. Because they always have food hidden away and they can keep you alive. Well, see, men don't want to stop for food. Men don't want to stop for anything. Because men want to be able to get there, to walk in the front door and go, made it in 5 hours, 18 minutes. Three minutes faster than last year. Didn't even stop for gas. Pulled up behind a tanker truck. We hooked up with him. Had the kids pee out the window, and here we come, buddy. Thank you very much. It is nice to be back here. As Charlie said, I did write the book, You Might Be a Redneck If. In fact, I have to tell you, this summer I was working in Oklahoma. A guy brought one of the books to the show. The book was real beat up. And the guy came up to me. He said, sir, he said, I keep this on the back of my toilet. Would you sign it? Well, if you'll hold it, I'll sign it. But for those of you that may not know if you're a redneck or not, they asked me to do a few to try to help you out. Things like if you own a home that is mobile and 14 cars that aren't, you might be a redneck. If you take your dog for a walk and you both use the tree at the corner, you might be a redneck. If you refer to the 5th grade as my senior year, you might be a redneck. If you prefer car keys to Q-tips, you're grown, but you know what I'm talking about. If the most common phrase heard in your house is somebody go jiggle the handle, you might be a redneck. If you've ever taken a beer to a job interview, you might be a redneck. If you see a sign that says say no to crack and it reminds you to pull your jeans out, you might just be a redneck. And trust me, I know about rednecks. In fact, this summer I did something I'd always wanted to do. I cashed in a ton of frequent flyer miles. I took everybody in my family to Hawaii. 13 people, thinking this would be the vacation of a lifetime. It ended up being the Clampetts go to Maui. Because you get my family together, there is an empty Kmart somewhere. They show up at the airport, they are using coolers and grocery bags for luggage. This guy kept like, which one's yours, the Samsonite's? Like, no, sir, we got the Igloo with the duct tape on it. And the 5 Piggly Wiggly bags right there. And on the plane ride over there, the movie they were showing was Homeward Bound, The Incredible Journey. 5 minutes into this movie, my brother turns to me and goes, you know that ain't them dogs' real voice. My sister got mad. Well, thanks for spoiling it for everybody else. And we were staying right on the beach. You could tell which rooms were ours. Ours were the ones with the underwear hanging off the balcony. And according to the manager, the site of the only peeing for distance contest they had ever had there. Which I am ashamed to say my Aunt Rose won in the second round. My man, they don't go to hotels much. They stole everything from this place. When you get out of the shower, you are using toilet paper to dry off with because they have the towels in the Piggly Wiggly bag. One day, one of the maids went to lunch and left her cart in the hall. Lord, they were on that like buzzards on a mule carcass. Picked it clean. I asked my brother, I said, what are you going to do with 180 shower caps? He said, Christmas presents. Then his wife got mad. Well, thanks for spoiling it for everybody else. Like a lot of women, she takes a long time getting ready, but she's smarter than I am, so no matter how late she is, she can keep me right there on her schedule. This is her best trick right here. You're not wearing that, are you? No, I ain't wearing this. It's just what I'm wearing while you're getting ready. And being a man, we have no idea what's wrong with it. We try on everything we got. What about this? A sweater and a bathing suit. What do you think about that, huh? I got more. Hold on, I'll be back. It amazes me, as little as men know about fashion, girls, you still ask our opinion about stuff. We'll be ready to walk out the door. My wife will say something like, honey, which earrings do you like better, the white ones or the black ones? Oh, hell, I got a 50-50 shot at this. I'll say the white ones. The white ones now got to change this blouse. No! Never leaving this house. Crap, I got to shave again. When we're men, we just don't care as much about how we look. You never see a guy picking up his buddy to go fishing at 5 o'clock in the morning going, damn, Bill, you ain't gonna wear that shirt with them shoes, are you? It's after Labor Day, for crying out loud. She worries about stuff. She has things in that bathroom, the vault, I call it, because the door's always shut and whatever goes on in there costs a load of money. I snuck in one. She has things on one shelf for dry skin, oily skin, chapped skin, combination skin. Have you ever known a man with combination skin? I mean, let's say somewhere out on the construction site. Hey, Donnie! Drop the hammer! Come in a trailer. Now, Donnie, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings, but you have dry cheekbones and a greasy forehead. It's combination skin, Don. Well, I didn't want to say anything, but the men been laughing at you and calling you Mr. Flaky Face. Same thing with smell. She asks me every day, do I smell good? Like the way I smell? See, because if men have an odor, it's usually an accident. Charles, what is that alluring fragrance? Oh, that's Michelob. I hit a bump in a truck. Both sexes sexes care about smell. They do, but women will go to trouble to smell good, and men are more like, hey, does this stink too bad to wear one more time? Maybe I should put it in the dryer. I think women feel a sneeze coming on. Every time before my wife sneezes, she reaches in her purse, pulls out a tissue. See, men have no idea we're going to sneeze. We could be riding a bus somewhere and be like, doo-doo-doo-doo, what? Oh, man, I'm sorry about your shirt. You can put that in the dryer. That'll be all right. Yeah. God bless you. Take care of yourself. But you know who's smart? And Doc, back me up. Is kids are smart. I mean, that's why the fifth graders show work. Kids today, they're so much smarter than we were. I remember my oldest daughter, when she turned 5, she wanted a computer. She's 5 years old. We get a computer. She can use it. I mean, 5 years old. Remember what we got when we turned 5? Little wooden paddle, rubber band, red ball on the end of it. That was a brain builder, wasn't it? 1, 2, 3. You'd hit it about 4 times, the rubber band would snap, the ball would fly across the room, break something, you get a spanking with the paddle. No wonder we turned out this way. It's a different age. It's like my daughters, every toy they ever got had some tag in it showing you somebody had inspected it to make sure there was no possible way a child could hurt themselves playing with that toy. Hell, I remember being 9 years old. My parents bought me a wood-burning kit. Oh, what could possibly go wrong with a toy like that? A sharp metal stick that heated up to 5,000 degrees. And let me tell you something, our dogs and cats didn't have a little tag around their neck, but everybody in the neighborhood knew who they belonged to. Yeah, the Circle F brand, that's the Foxworthy cat right there, right? Who had a wood-burning kit? Probably a lot of guys. Remember how long the cord was, the little curly cord? The cord was about that long. So you're always guaranteed to be in right next to the drapes while you played with it. Did anybody have the swing set? My parents were too lazy to actually dig a hole in the ground, go buy a bag of concrete and pour it in. So we had a swing set. Anytime you swung above this high, the legs of it would go whoomp, whoomp, whoomp. There were stuntmen that would not swing on our swing set. And I'm pretty sure my dad had a few beers the day he put it together. Because at the top of the sliding board, there was this big bolt. And I'm sure it was supposed to have gone from the inside out. But ours went from the outside in. And every summer, every kid in the neighborhood had a pencil-thin scab from their ankle all the way up the back of their hiney. Think back to the toys, lawn darts. Lawn darts, 12-pound darts. You could kill an elk with a lawn dart. And there were no directions. They came in a box of 8. We used to pull them out of the box, throw them straight up in the air. You catch one of those with your head, you're getting coloring books for Christmas the rest of your life. And to this day, my mom gets upset if she sees me take a sip out of a beer. But when I was a child, she bought me model airplane glue by the bags full. I'm in my room trying to build models. I'm higher than AC/DC on the opening night of a new tour. Finally get the model put together, then my dad would give us firecrackers to blow them up with. And we knew they were safe because we had to drive across the state line to buy them from a man that had 3 fingers. Not on each hand, total 3 fingers. That's a good firecracker right there. You'll like that one. This guy can't operate a Bic lighter, but he's a demolitions expert. Pour the milk on and you will rip the roof of your mouth to shreds. You wait too long after you pour the milk on and the captain will put a film on your teeth a wire brush can't get rid of.
Google won't tell you that. Fact of life. I mean, because they test you to see if you have learning differences or if you're gifted. They might give you elevated courses. See, back in the good old days, it didn't matter if you were a genius or if you were eating crayons. You were all in the same class. And they put no thought into what they were teaching us. I remember, like my 11th grade year of high school, one semester of English was devoted entirely to poetry. Like, what were blue-collar kids from the wrong side of the tracks going to do with poetry? My husband won't fix the broken screen door. Our cat just threw up a dead bird on the floor. I have 4 little children I constantly feed, so please don't you ask me why I smoke weed. Now they're teaching sex education in the 5th grade, starting in the 5th grade. Nobody taught me about sex back in the good old days. My parents told me nothing. My school taught me nothing. Everything I learned about sex, I pieced together for myself. Like when I was 11, we had an uncle that raised rabbits. And so we were out at his farm one weekend, and he took a group of us out to the shed where he kept the rabbits. And he had all the males in cages on one side and all the females in cages on the other. And he opened a male's cage, grabbed him by the scruff of the neck, walked over, opened a female's cage, and dropped him in there. And that male rabbit jumped on top of that female rabbit and jackhammered like a hurricane for like 5 seconds. And then he fell off on his back. And everybody was laughing except me. Because I'm like, oh my God, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do it that fast. Turns out I had nothing to worry about.
Did a bunch with my kids, took them to a zoo down there, pretty good zoo. I like zoos. You like zoos? I like good zoos. I don't like them. You ever been to a bad zoo with just regular critters, you know, like a bunny and a skunk and a goat and a cow, you know, crippled deer over there? The rhinoceros is just some fat kid with a chocolate-covered banana strapped to his forehead. Which, by the way, is the worst job I ever had in my entire life, by the way. Let me just say that. Every time I go to the zoo, all the good animals I want to see are sleeping already. What the hell? It's like Cosby got there 20 minutes before I did. What? Oh, come on. That's funny. I don't care who you are right there. Come on now. Hey, I told that joke at the zoo and the hyenas laughed their ass off at that, all right? Weirdest thing I ever seen at a zoo was a bunch of penguins and nuns staring at each other. Took my wife and kids to the Wisconsin Dells to the water park up there. That's right. You ever been to a water park? For all y'all ain't never been to a water park, picture everybody at Walmart with bathing suits on, all right? What the hell? That's where I found out a wiener twister wasn't a snack stand at the water park in there. Boy, they got some fast rides. They had one ride, 70 miles an hour. You get up there, straight down, halfway down, somebody's underbreeches and swim trunks went flying by my head. I'm like, oh, that poor guy. They were mine. Ah! That's one thing about a water park. Nobody goes home with a dirty butthole. I'll guarantee you that much right there. That's right. It'll clean you out good in there. Next time you can't afford the water park, just stand naked in front of a floor mirror and shoot your water pickup your hind end, all right? It'll have the same effect. I almost got beat up at the water park. You believe it? I almost got beat up at the water park. I'm standing in line, get on this one water ride. There's a dude clutching on this big-ass inner tube. And I said, hey, where'd you get that inner tube? He said, what? I said, that big-ass inner tube you got there. He said, that's my wife, you son of a bitch. They got indoor water parks.
Fact of life, when you're driving down the road and you come up behind that old truck that's got like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back of it, and they're held together by 2 ratty bungee cords, every one of us prays the same prayer. Dear God, don't let those bungee cords break until after I get around this guy. What happens to them, we don't really care, but I need to get around. Is necessarily a good thing. We're obsessed with it, especially when it comes to like medical stuff. See, back in the good old days, people accepted aches and pains as just part of what went on when you started getting old. But now, anytime we have a little ache or pain, we got to go Google it. You could have a hangnail. You're Googling, what's the best way to treat a hangnail? On rare occasions, hangnails can be an indicator you've had an undiagnosed cerebral hemorrhage. Oh, hell. What's wrong, Lloyd? I'll tell you what's wrong, Connie. 60 seconds ago, I didn't know I had a cerebral, and now apparently the damn thing is hemorrhaged. You get scared to death with medical stuff on your phone. You don't even have to be looking for it. I had a pop-up not long ago that said low back pain can be an early indicator of premature blindness. Hell, I've got low back pain. I thought it's because I helped my wife rearrange the furniture in the den. Why'd I move the couch? Now I'm just going to run into it. I got to get online and order a guide dog while I can still find my laptop. Thing is, it's a TV, no excuse to ever miss the game anymore. How many guys, be honest, ever sat during a wedding with your phone in your lap, turn the volume down, watch a football game? Yeah, and it's porn. And you don't even have to be looking for it. There's so much porn in here, it's looking for you. Not long ago, my wife and I were trying to figure out where to go eat one night. I typed in delicious Italian near me. I'm like, Mamma mia. That's a spicy meatball there. See, back in the good old days, porn was when one of your friends found a discarded Playboy magazine, and you would sneak it back to the secret clubhouse in the woods. Therefore, the password. And maybe if you're into porn, now is the good old days, because it took 2 hands to hold that magazine, but only 1 hand to hold your phone. And human beings being able to corrupt anything that is good have found such naughty things to do with this phone. People actually take pictures of their private parts and send them to other people, which is such a fabulous idea. What could possibly go wrong with an idea like that? See, back in the good old days, if I had wanted to send my girlfriend a picture of my private parts, I would have had to have found a piece of notebook paper, put it on the edge of the kitchen table, waited until nobody else was home, ran over to the table, dropped my pants, laid Junior on the paper, take a pencil and trace him out. Then I would have had to have got a box of crayons, and it would have had to have been the 64 count box, because that was the only one that had flesh tone in it. Color it in, fold that paper up, put it in an envelope, address it to my girlfriend, put a stamp on it, walk down the driveway and put it in the mailbox to mail it to her. So 3 days later, she could call me and go, "Why did you send me a drawing of your thumb?" Just not the sexy effect you're looking for.
In working with compassion, because what compassion does, and I've been working with them for 10 or 12 years, is they go all over the world, and in the most efficient way, they love on people that the world's kicked to the curb, which is exactly what Jesus would be doing.
Exactly, man. What an incredible organization. Compassion as our primary partner this year with the G5 initiative in Rwanda. has given us a vehicle where our students can sponsor a child halfway across the world, talking about just an unlikely partnership where a student from Ohio or from Wisconsin all of a sudden drops in the middle of a village in Rwanda through sponsorship, and for a little more than $1 a day, puts education, medication, clean water, honestly empowers the local church in that village to just be the hands and feet of Jesus and to really make a difference.
So both of our kids are college age. What would you say to the college students is the advantage of getting into something like sponsorship at that age, as opposed to, say, when you're older and more financially set?
Absolutely, Jeff. I mean, I think because you've got kids who are in college, that this generation of college students aren't just content with just sending $1 a day halfway across the world, or just buying coffee that's connected to good work in Guatemala. They actually want to be the hands and feet of Jesus. They actually want to build relationships. They want to get out of that one-dimensional sponsorship, get into a pen pal relationship, get to go halfway across the world and meet the child that they're sponsoring.
And see where they live, and see where they sleep, and at a much earlier age than you and I did, make their life richer and fuller and more meaningful. I always tell my kids, you don't get a practice lap. You get one lap around the track. It's not like you can do it once and go, all right, next time I'm...
That's right.
So why not, from the get-go, make it... It's like Jesus said, I give you life to the full. This is part of life to the full.
That's right.
You are creating a relationship that through your correspondence back and forth, that is decades long, and it makes your life richer and fuller to be tied into the hopes and dreams of somebody on the other side of the world, and they're tied into your life, and it's like, wow, I never saw that coming. I never saw another important relationship coming when I signed up to write that check every month.
Yeah, so through this Compassion International sponsorship of a child in Rwanda, you're coming alongside of a family, not just so that you can meet their everyday needs, but because the gospel calls us to love the widow, the orphan, and the stranger. And honestly, one of the funnest parts of that is going to be partnering to do together what we could never do alone.
Amen.
So before we really get into it, I did want to make sure we allude to something they saw. They probably were like, wow, why was the Olympic? You didn't get hurt while we were in Rwanda. You came with a broken ankle.
I broke my ankle like the week before we went.
So. Yeah, and when we heard that, we thought, oh no, is he going to back out? But then you didn't, and I thought that was
no, because my daughter Jordan would have disowned me, because if Jordan could just make her life going on a mission trip every week, that's what she would do. And so we were so excited about going, and she had been years before, and she's like, I want you to see Rwanda. And so
she's been a lot of times to Africa, right?
Yeah. The first trip I ever, mission trip, it was with Jordan was 14. Yep. And we went to, worked over in AIDS orphanages in Kenya. So that was, 12 years ago.
Since then, 10 times, Jordan, you've been?
Something like that, yeah.
But that's incredible. Tell us why you're so passionate about this kind of work.
So our first trip was, I was 14 and in 8th grade and had never really traveled before. And it was certainly like a life-changing experience, to say the least. And I went with you and a group of fathers taking their children from my church, and was just amazed right away at what Compassion was doing there. And on that first trip, we met our 2 sponsored girls, and we had just started the sponsorship process. So, they were real shy. They were, it was hard to kind of connect all the way with them because they were so shy. And then we came back a few years later and saw them, and just in a few years, through Compassion sponsorship process, these girls had grown up. They were confident. They were excited to show us around and for us to meet their friends. And just the change in them for just a few years of being sponsored was absolutely
they had
amazing.
Become like little leaders within that community, so which was really cool.
It was really cool.
And it became a relationship. It wasn't just sending money. I mean, these girls have now for the last 12 years grown up with us. How are you doing? What are you studying? What are you guys up to? And it's a life-changing relationship for them, I think, and that's what Jordan and I learned early, is that you're changing somebody's life.
Yeah.
You have the power to do that, to breathe life into somebody and to breathe hope into somebody.
Jordan, you got to meet your sponsored child
Yes.
on this trip. Tell us about that. I know, Jeff, your whole family got to.
Well, our sponsored child lived at the top of the mountain.
Yes.
I'm like, why couldn't they live
That's the footage of him with the crutches trying to get there. We made it, so that was good. Her name's Becky, and she has 2 sisters. She's precious, and it was really cool. We got to sit in their home and talk with her mother and learn about their life. And her father had left, had abandoned them a few years before, and it was
a mom raising 3 daughters
Yeah.
on her own, but the fact what Becky was getting in school was literally like a lifeblood for the whole family.
Yep.
So it's really cool.
That's one of the things people don't know. When you sponsor a child, that child is really the whole family
Yeah.
that's represented. Jared, is that right?
Yeah, that's right. You are investing in one life, but the way that works is, that family, it could be 7 people in the family, and yet what's amazing is that family, that child getting the benefits, that church is reaching out to that entire family, because everything Compassion does is through that local church. So those pastors that we work with, they know that family. They know their community, so they know what they need, and they're able to invest in them that way.
So, Mr. Rockstar Rudy, everybody in Rwanda knows Rudy, by the way. What is it about your generation that is drawn to this? Because when I think about sponsorship, if you go back 10 years ago, it's something old people like we did. And then when we started talking about students getting involved in this, I'm like, man, that is such an out-of-the-box, cool idea. What is it about this that appeals to your generation?
Yes, sir.
No more letting people over 65 forward emails. They can use the internet, they just can't forward emails. They cannot contain themselves, they forward everything. I spend hours a day deleting the emails of my father-in-law and my mother. And my father-in-laws are always the political ones. If you don't send this to 1 million people tonight, you are not an American. Well, I was going to watch TV, but this is going to take a while. And my mothers are always the humorous ones, which she mislabels in the subject line. She'll have funniest thing I've ever seen. No, it's not, Mother. It's 2 kittens in a clothes basket. At best, it's mildly amusing, and you're distracting me from surfing the web looking for nursing homes within driving distance. See, when it comes to technology, my wife and I laugh about this because we're in our mid-50s, and my wife says we are the bologna in the technology bologna sandwich. We're right in the middle because our parents can't text and our children can't write. My kids don't even think you need to study. They're like, Dad, if you want to know something, you just Google it. And to a point, they're right. I mean, when I was growing up, if you were watching TV and somebody said, what was that guy in? You'd go, well, he looks familiar. That was it. Now you're watching TV, somebody goes, what was that guy in? Somebody goes, he was the janitor on Joey. Of course he was. But I try to tell my kids, I said, yeah, there's a lot of stuff you can learn from Google. I said, but there's just as much stuff you can't learn from Google. You only learn it from life experience. You'll usually learn most of it the hard way. It's stuff that's not Googleable. I don't know if that's a word. But I call them the facts of life. It's stuff you can't Google, like this, fact of life. Now, some good stuff happened during COVID too, some really good stuff. I became a grandpa for the very first time during COVID. And I love this little boy more than any human being on the planet. And my daughter, I don't know how she pulled this off, but somehow she arranged to be able to get on the Jerry Springer show, and we were able to find out who the father is without spending one dime of our own money. So that was great. I'm kidding. We have no idea who the father is. Something else great that happened is my mother's flip phone finally broke. That is an event 20 years in the making. Yeah, 1 month into COVID, my mom's flip phone broke, and so we bought her very first iPhone. And if you were to say to me tonight, Jeff, would you rather teach your mother how to text or teach your dog how to wipe his ass? I would probably say, hand me the toilet paper. Let me give that a shot. The texting has been a little bit of a challenge. And my daughters were so excited, you know, that their GABA was finally texting. So they're texting her. One night I get a call from my mom, and she says to me, "What is low?" I said, "What are you talking about, Mom?" She said, "Jordan sent me a text, and at the end of it, it said low." I said, "How do you spell it?" She said, LOL. I said, "Mom, that's not low, that's laugh out loud." I said, "That's what the kids do now. Instead of writing everything out, you know, they just use initials like IDKs, I don't know, OMGs, oh my gosh." You know, I said, that's how they do it. A few nights later, I get a text from my mother that says IYGTTGSINSK. I'm like, oh God, Mom's had a stroke. I called her up. I said, "Mom, what did you just text me?" She said, "I was doing like the girls do." I said, "If you go to the grocery store, I need some ketchup." Well, of course, why didn't I see that? And she loves this iPhone because it has features on it that her flip phone didn't have, like reception. It's funny, whenever I get invited to something like this, I think because I hosted Are You Smarter Than a Fifth Grader? Yeah, somebody asked me, what was your favorite part of doing that show? And I said, the part where they handed me the cards with the answers on it. That was my favorite part. But I think people think because I hosted that show that I'm smarter than I am. And I'm like, I knew none of that stuff. I'm not like Alex Trebek. We had a lady on one day, they asked her, it was like a second grade grammar question. It was something about an antonym. And she said, oh, I remember there were homonyms and synonyms and antonyms. She said, I can't remember the difference in them. Can you use it in a sentence? My antonym came over for Christmas dinner. I know nothing. I'm an idiot. In fact, when I started hosting that show, I started making a list of all the things I didn't know.
Their influence to love their neighbor, to be a good Samaritan. And then you were like, I want to make sure Rudy's coming along, you know, who's my son, and Jordan's coming along. I think a part of that story was Rudy was adopted from Guatemala when he was a kid. And so he knows what it's like beyond sponsorship to walk into adoption. Same thing, but taken to another
It was
level.
one of the most beautiful things for me to see. I've been on a lot of trips, but to see Rudy, and I've grown up with Rudy, I've known Rudy a long time, to know how you guys said, we're going to adopt and bring him in. And no one knows that Rudy's adopted. They just think because he looks like you somewhat that
we're from separate parts of the world.
Separate parts of the world.
Rudy's better looking.
There you go, that's right. But the beauty is...
People always walk up to Rudy and they go, hey, I know who your dad is. Which...
I'd love to know him too.
Yeah. Rudy's always like, well, my dad's not biologically, but I guess...
I know you.
So
yeah.
Love you.
There you go. It's kind of like, man, what do you follow with that? No, I love watching Rudy with those kids. Because Rudy, you understand those kids. And the way that you just like, I mean, it was reckless abandonment. I wish everybody, you could have been there to see Rudy. It's just like, oh, there's kids. You guys are going to go do your thing. I'm going to go with them. And it was like, where's Rudy? And you just find the group of kids, and that's where Rudy was. But I love it because he was Jesus to them in that moment because he knows what they've walked through. And that's what I want for you guys as students is like, you know what Jesus has done for you. You were orphaned, and Jesus has brought you in. You have the same opportunity to be those hands and feet and love these kids.
Jordan, could you speak into, and Jeff too, could you guys speak into just compassion and their stewardship with God's people sacrificing? I know a lot of times Rudy was like, Dad, I'm willing to give. I just want to make sure it's to legit resources. I want to make sure that when I give, I get the most amount of bang for the buck. If it's hard for me to come up with a buck and I put it in, I want to make sure that most of that goes to the child. You've seen it 10 times being over there.
Yeah.
And would you kind of give us some of the nuts and bolts? Give us this.
All of them talk about the war on women. They each blame each other for having a war on women, which is stupid. This is a media thing. Nobody would have a war on women because they would never win an election. Common sense. If there is any war on women, it's men fighting with each other trying to get a woman. Because everybody loves women. And you know why every man wants a woman? Because women are in sole possession of the most valuable thing on the planet. A brain. These two guys are like, well, I missed that one. Well, guess what? They own all of that too. Which I think is part of God's great plan. See, I think God created women to guide men through life. But God knew men were hard-headed and men weren't going to listen to women. So God gave women the other stuff just to make us pay attention. I just think he may have underestimated how powerful the other stuff was going to be to us. Well, think about this. Adam and Eve live in the Garden of Eden. God says to them, you will never be hungry, you'll never be thirsty, you'll never be sick, you'll never die. I'm going to come by every afternoon and go for a walk with you. There's only one rule to live here. Don't eat the fruit off of that one tree. Now, God had no more than gotten in his car and driven off when Eve walked over to the tree and picked an apple and looked at Adam and said, think we should eat this? And he looked at her standing there buck naked and went, hell yeah, baby, if you want to, let's do it. If God had put her in a flannel nightgown, we might all be living in paradise today. Fact of life, out of all the dinosaurs, the Tyrannosaurus Rex was the meanest because his arms were too short to reach his wiener. That is a medically proven fact. That will make you angry. And you'll never watch Jurassic Park the same way again. Fact of life, if you're driving down the interstate and you come up behind that old pickup truck that has like 13 wooden pallets stacked in the back and they're held together by like 2 ratty bungee cords, we all say the same prayer. Dear God, do not let those bungee cords break until I get around this guy. What happens to them, we don't really worry about, but I need to get around him. Fact of life, when your kids go off to college, you need to be concerned about the excessive drinking, the wild sex, the sleeping till noon, and you need to worry your kids might be doing the same thing. Fact of life, 100% of the black men that shave their heads look really cool. 50% of the white guys that shave their heads look like they just murdered their parents. And you're thinking of somebody right now, aren't you? Fact of life, flying on an airplane makes you gassy. Nobody ever talks about this. Nobody ever acknowledges this. We just take our little roll-around suitcase and walk to baggage claim, popping them off like a trail horse. Okay, let me tell you what makes me feel better. When I write this stuff, I don't know if it's just me or not. But when you laugh like that and start punching each other, I know there's others in the club. And I think that's why TSA is always in such a bad mood, by the way. No more sugar-free cookies. So, I mean, it's like going to the drive-in movie by yourself. You can do it, but it ain't ending in a smile. You're an adult. If you want a cookie, eat a cookie. If you want sugar-free, eat celery. Quit wasting valuable cookie dough on sugar-free cookies. Nobody likes them. Now, you hear this a lot in an election year like this year. I don't know why you can't ride a bicycle anymore without dressing like Lance Armstrong in the Tour de France. Does anybody remember when you could ride a bike wearing jeans and a t-shirt? Not anymore, boy. Got to have the uni. And it's not just young athletic people. Got these fat middle-aged guys look like the Michelin Man in a wetsuit. And they have sponsor logos. Who's sponsoring you, Pop? Dunkin' Donuts, all right. Pedal. I don't know why in 2017 there's still certain jobs that are men's jobs or women's jobs. Like if there's But there are. Like if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, whose job is it to go check it out? It's the man. You never see this. Phyllis. Run downstairs, see what that noise was. Hey, bring me back a piece of chicken, okay? No, if there's a noise in the house in the middle of the night, it's the man checking it out. In his underwear, carrying a baseball bat. Because that is the official uniform of suspicious noises, underpants and a baseball bat. Don't know what we're hoping to find, some guy in the living room in his underwear with a ball. Yeah. And my dad didn't even need the baseball bat because my dad always wore those gigantic boxer shorts that were always gapped open in the front. That gap was like a taser to a thief. Shut the gap, shut the gap. Take my wallet, just shut that gap. I don't know why cats never throw up in the daytime. Cats